Hello, YouTube. I'm going to read this article, April 12th, 2020. There you see a robot. Meet humanity. Meet humanity's new ally in the coronavirus fight, robots. So now we're talking about robots. They disinfect hospitals, corridors with ultraviolet light to eliminate traces of the novel coronavirus. Well, 5G can be transmitted through ultraviolet light. So once again, 5G is all planned through this novel CV. They help nurses manage routine tasks so they can spend more time with sick patients. They deliver meals to people, heeding public health orders to stay at home, and help police deliver wontons to those who aren't. As medical researchers rush to develop treatments and vaccines to deploy against the CV, scientists and engineers are working on another type of weapon that could play an instrumental role in fighting the CV-19 pandemic. Robots, as epidemics escalate, the potential roles of robotics are becoming increasingly clear. An international group of researchers wrote last month in the journal Science Robotics. And there's much more robots could do if engineers concentrated their efforts on the greatest needs, researchers said. At this time, we really need to ensure that we have a global, orchestrated, sustainable approach to robotics. Research said Guan Zhang, Dean of the Institute of Medical Robotics at Shanghai Jiao Tong University, which right there, Shanghai Jiao Tong University. I can't say these words. Here's a closer look at how robots could play a larger role in the pandemic. Robots on the front lines. A big concern in any infectious disease outbreak is minimizing risk to doctors, nurses, and other healthcare workers who are in direct contact with sick patients. If those caregivers also become ill, it means less treatment for patients. When health workers are at risk, we are all at risk, said Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, however you say that word. Not an American name, once again. Director General of the World Health Organization. So he must be the main player. Robots could take their place in certain circumstances, such as administering tests to see whether people have been infected with the CV. Yang said that's crucial because people who seem to be perfectly healthy may be, in fact, be infected and could spread the disease to others, which you can't spread it through air, you can't spread it through cough. The only way you can spread it is if it's injected into you. That's the only way. I mean, there's proof. A lot of people came out and proved it, so that's out the window. Also, silent infection is the biggest problem, Yang said. It helps that robots don't get sick unless they run out of power. They don't need to sleep. Yeah, they don't need to sleep, all right. We can put him to sleep all right. Russell Taylor, a robotics at Johns Hopkins University, whose work led to the development of Da Vinci surgical robots, said medical robots could be useful in intensive care units where risk of contamination was a major worry. For example, a health worker needing to attend to an Ebola patient might need to put on heavy personal protective equipment before entering a high-risk area, then remove and discard the equipment during the decontamination process at the end of their shift. That's time consuming, tiring, and potentially dangerous. Sending a remotely operated robot to interact with the patient instead could dramatically reduce that risk, Taylor said. After all, robots are immune to biological pathogens and can be efficiently disinfected with harsh chemicals, not so for human beings. Well, how are you gonna not breathe that stuff in when you disinfect it, because you're gonna have to spray it? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But doctors and healthcare workers don't necessarily want to stop having contact with their patients, even with the risks involved, said Bill Smart. That's a funny name, Smart. As in, smart TV, smart appliances. He probably has something to do with 5G. So, that's a really funny name there, Bill Smart. A robotics at Oregon State University. The human contact part of the job is really important, he said. Robotics is still a developing field and patient care is complex. If robots remain in supporting rather than steering roles, Smart explained, you're not directly interacting with the patients, where it could go really wrong if the robot breaks, and you're also not denying the patient human contact. That said, robots could still help minimize the risk for these frontline medical staffers by taking on more menial tasks in order to reduce the time a nurse or doctor has to spend in a dangerous environment. That could mean using drones to transport medicine to and within hospitals, or using robots to deliver meals. Round-the-clock disinfection by wonder robots, something akin to a Roomba on steroids, could also minimize contamination risks. Robots in the past. During the Ebola outbreak that began in 2014, the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy and the National Science Foundation organized workshops to identify ways in which robots could make a difference. But once the epidemic came under control, interest in and funding for the project dried up. As a species, we tend to be a bit said Robin Murphy, a robotics at Texas A&M University. This feast or famine approach to funding means scientists, engineers, and medical emergency personnel aren't likely to have robotic tools ready for when the next pandemic hits, scientists said. Pretty interesting. Leave your comments down in the comment section on what you think. And boy, we're running out of time, guys. It's time to stand up. Let's come on. Let's band together and stand up, man. Quit talking on here. I mean, I'm guilty too. I talk and I listen, but what we really need to do is band together in communities, stand up, and do something. All right? Peace out. I hope you guys have a blessed day, and thank you for listening. Peace out.